CIA is disputed on civilian toll in drone attacks. On May 6th, a Central Intelligence Agency drone fired a volley of missiles at a pickup truck carrying 9 militants and bomb materials through a desolate stretch of Pakistan near the Afghan border. It killed all the militants. A clean strike with no civilian casualties, extending what is now a year-long perfect record of avoiding collateral deaths. Or so goes the United States government's version of the attack, from an American official briefed on the classified CIA program. Here is another version, from a new report compiled by British and Pakistani journalists. The missiles hit a religious school, an adjoining restaurant, and a house, killing at least 18 people, 12 militants, but also 6 civilians. In other words, the CIA is not really telling the whole truth. The civilian toll of the CIA's drone campaign, which is widely credited with disrupting Al-Qaeda and its allies in Pakistan's tribal areas, has been in bitter dispute since the strikes were accelerated in 2008. Accounts of strike after strike from official and unofficial sources are so at odds that they often seem to describe different events. The debate has intensified since President Obama's top counterterrorism advisor, John O. Brennan, clearly referring to the classified drone program, said in June that for almost a year there hasn't been a single collateral death because of the exceptional proficiency, precision of the capabilities we've been able to develop. Other officials say that amazing claim still holds. Since May 2010, CIA officers believe the drones have killed more than 600 militants, including at least 20 in a strike reported Wednesday, and not a single non-combatant, or so they say. Cutting through the fog of the drone war is important in part because the drone aircraft deployed in Pakistan are supposedly the leading edge of a revolution in robotic warfare that has already expanded to Yemen and Somalia, and that military experts expect to sweep the world. It's urgent to answer this question because this technology is so attractive to the United States and other governments that it's going to proliferate very rapidly, said the executive director of the Campaign for Innocent Victims in Conflict, or CIVIC, a Washington nonprofit that tracks civilian deaths. The government's assertion of zero collateral deaths meets with deep skepticism from many independent experts, and a new report from the British Bureau of Investigative Journalism, which conducted interviews in Pakistan's tribal area, concluded that at least 45 civilians, and possibly many more, were killed in 10 strikes during the last year. Others who question the CIA claim include strong supporters of the drone program, like the editor of the Long War Journal, who closely tracks the strikes. The Taliban don't go to a military base to build bombs or do training, he said. There are families and neighbors around. I believe the people conducting the strikes work hard to reduce civilian casualties. They could be 20%, they could be 5%, but I think the CIA's claim of zero civilian casualties in a year is absurd. A closer look at the competing claims, including interviews with American officials and their critics, discloses new details about how the CIA tracks the results of the drone strikes. It also suggests reasons to doubt the precision and certainty of the agency's civilian death count. And if there are doubts about the CIA claim, there are also questions about the reliability of critics' reports of non-combatant deaths. Reporters in North Waziristan, where most strikes occur, operate in a dangerous and politically charged environment. Many informants have their own agendas. Militants use civilian deaths as a recruiting tool, and Pakistani officials rally public opinion against the drones. They have lost family members in the strikes. The agency's critics also counter that an intelligence officer watching a video screen thousands and thousands of miles away can hardly be certain of the identity of everyone killed in a strike. In a tribal society where men commonly carry weapons and a single family compound can include a militant fighter and enlistee in the Pakistani government's frontier corps and a shopkeeper, even villagers may be uncertain about the affiliations of their neighbors. Skeptics, likewise, say that militants can commandeer a car or a compound from neighbors who cannot safely refuse the demands, and civilians may be present among militants. The Bureau of Investigative Journalism, for example, found that one strike that killed about 24 militants also killed 2 civilians, a prisoner of the militants and a visitor negotiating release of relatives held elsewhere. Colonel David M. Sullivan, an Air Force pilot with extensive experience with both traditional and drone airstrikes from Kosovo to Afghanistan, said 0 innocent civilians having lost their lives does not sound to me like reality. Never in the history of combat operations has every airborne strike been 100% successful. And although Pakistani officials often denounce the drone program, even as they have at times quietly assisted it, skeptics about its overall impact include American officials as well. The former director of national intelligence, Dennis C. Blair, said at a public forum last month that he thought unilateral American strikes in Pakistan, Yemen, and Somalia should end. Pull back on unilateral actions by the United States, except in extraordinary circumstances, said Mr. Blair, who headed national intelligence from January 2009 until May 2010. See Christine Fair, an expert on Pakistan at Georgetown University, said that getting full cooperation with Pakistan on drone strikes might be impossible. She also said that the semi-secrecy surrounding the program fuels suspicion and allows propaganda to thrive. And what else is the drone program doing? It's creating more hatred of the United States, and there will be consequences to these actions. Yes, this is the process by which it happens or gets done, and is another sign of the times, the end times, transition days. Everything is connected, and everything is numbered. It's also called destiny or fate. Matthew chapter 24, verse 6. And ye shall hear of wars and rumors of wars. See that ye be not troubled, for all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. 7. For nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom, and there shall be famines, and pestilences, and earthquakes in diverse places. 8. All these are the beginning of sorrows. Again, Revelation chapter 8, verse 12. And the 4th angel sounded, and the 3rd part of the sun was smitten, and the 3rd part of the moon, and the 3rd part of the stars, so as the 3rd part of them was darkened. And the day shone not for a 3rd part of it, and the night likewise. 13. And I beheld, and heard an angel flying through the midst of heaven, saying with a loud voice, Woe, 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 to the inhabitants of the earth, by reason of the other voices of the trumpet of the 3 angels, which are yet to sound. It's time for all prophecy to be fulfilled. The 4th angel is sounding.